What's up guys and girls, welcome to Freedive Passion. So right now I've entered a different stage of my training. I'm starting to increase my depth and approach my PB depths. So I'm going to take you along to show you what's going on. So I mentioned in a previous video that if we need to go deep, we're going to have to be creative. Because of all this corona stuff, Blue Hole is closed, which is usually where we do our deep diving. So I did get creative. I found out that we have depth close to Dahab, or close-ish to Dahab, about 500 meters from the shore. There's more than 100 meters depth. So what I've been doing is taking a kayak out, we paddle out, and then we do our deep diving sesh out there. So this is great that it's still possible for me to do deep diving. The only downside to it is we can only go that far out when there's not a lot of wind, and Dahab is almost always windy. So we need to get lucky. We have some little periods where the wind just dies off, and normally within the week we'll get 1 or 2 days where there's no wind, or even if it's just a part of the day where the wind dies down, then we have to take advantage of that and go diving. So it's not ideal in the way that I can't pick and choose exactly when I'll dive, which I would like to do if I wanted to be, very specific with my training. Also, it means sometimes I have to dive in the afternoon, sometimes I have to dive in the morning, so I've got to be like a little bit more flexible, which is more mentally challenging than physically challenging, I think. But I'm grateful to be able to have access to this depth, and I'm happy to do whatever I've got to do in order to train and reach my targets. So by this point in my training, when I start to go deeper and start to match or surpass my PB, all the hard work has basically already been done. So my strength and conditioning, my EQ training, my flexibility training, my technique training, my adaptation, that's all in place. I'm not trying to fix anything or work on anything when I'm going deeper. I'm basically just testing the skills that I already have. Each session only consists of 2 dives. My first dive is my warm-up dive, and then my second dive would be my deep dive. So there's not enough time to really train or practice anything or get better at anything, which is why I did all these repetitive dives before this period. Now everything is in place. Maybe there'll be like subtle micro changes that I can make if I feel like there's something that I need to do, just slightly different to the previous dive. But generally speaking, that's not going to be anything like physical to do with technique. It wouldn't be anything that you can see from the outside. It's more setting intentions and to do with mental training. Because I want myself to be as strong and fresh as possible for these deep dives, I ease off on everything else that is taxing to my system. So with regards to lifting weights, doing my strength and conditioning, dynamic sessions, all that starts to taper off at this period. So because I'm not practicing all these skills so much, and because I'm starting to go deeper, and deep diving is so psychological, a lot of my focus and energy turns towards mental training. So over this period, I'm doing a lot of visualization to reinforce my automation with regards to techniques and the way I dive. And I'm also doing some mental training to help to enhance the really blissful, positive feelings that I get during the dive. After each dive, I take careful notes on how the dive went, just to be sure that I'm continuing to dive the same way that I've planned. A sign that I'm starting to progress too quickly for my mind, my subconscious, is that I will start to do some things differently. So like maybe my dive time will start to get shorter because I'm kind of rushing through. Maybe I'll start to get contractions on the way down, or contractions earlier than what I should do on the way up. So I keep notes, and if any of this is starting to happen, then I just make sure that I do a few more repetitions at that depth until I can do it exactly how I want to do it, and only then I'll progress and go deeper. I continue progressing in this way until I reach my target for whatever training period I'm doing. So right now, I'm looking to get to my PB and do a good few repetitions of my PB to solidify that depth and get super confident and make a base of that depth. So my PB is 90 meters. I'll do 5-meter jumps until I reach 80, and then 2.5-meter jumps with repetitions, of course, where and when needed, until I get to 90 meters. I'll do a few repetitions of 90 to really solidify that depth, and I'll pay a lot of attention to how the dive's feeling and what might be necessarily the most challenging thing about the dive. And then with that information, whatever is the most challenging thing about the dive, that gives me what my main target will be when I start my base training again. So for instance, if the breath hold is the thing that's challenging, then it means I need to do more CO2 training in my next base training period. So far the training's been going really well. I'm very much enjoying diving from the kayak, really enjoying the solitude of being a little bit further out from Dahab, and in comparison to Blue Hole, you know, it's so peaceful, there's nobody there to bother us. Everybody out there is there to do the same thing, and that's do some serious freediving training. The dives are feeling great. I feel totally prepared for what I'm asking myself to do. I feel like just super strong, the best I've ever felt. So I've got like really good feelings about how this year is gonna go. Stay tuned, I'm gonna keep posting to let you guys know how I'm getting on. And until next time, guys and girls, take it easy and dive safe.